Am I missing all the good pictures? PDA. User at the house. Are you going with them? These are important moments for these incoming business committee members, their families. It's an important occasion for the Quapaw people. I appreciate your patience, but these are significant moments to commemorate for the Quapaw Nation. So thank you. If people would please take their seats, that would be wonderful. Thank you. We're going to proceed to roll call and declaration of quorum. I'll go ahead and get things started. Member Gibbswater.
Here.
Member Buffalo.
Present.
Member Davis. Member Davis, are you on Zoom? It's probably a poor connection. So, Member Mercer,
President.
Vice Chair Glass,
Present.
Chair Supernaw present. Quorum is declared. Thank you to the incoming members. Congratulations, and we're glad you're here. We're going to proceed to reading, correction, and approval of the minutes. I'll accept a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'm so moved.
Is there a second? I'll go ahead and second. Is there any discussion on the meeting minutes from prior month? Call for the question. All those in favor of accepting the prior month minutes, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed? Are there any abstentions? The motion to approve last month's minutes is approved. Thank you. We'll go on to reading correction of the electronic phone polls. There were 4 of them this last month. Member Buffalo, would you please commence with the first one?
Yes, ma'am. The first one was phone poll conducted on, initially started on 7/25, 7/31, as the members weren't all present to vote at the same time. The approval was 6-0. The question was considered an emergency due to the fact that involved an Indian Child Welfare Act situation. It's a motion to approve the adoption of a child. It was an emergency because the mother and father being Quapaw, the mother being non-Indian, mutually agreed to have their baby adopted by the grandmother, the mother of the non-Indian mother. And the court in Montana gave the nation 10 days to respond aye or nay by resolution. The reason it was not done by resolution that time is because the laserfish was down, which we normally vote on. But subsequent to that, the laserfish came up and we did adopt a resolution and submitted to the court in Montana. We approved the adoption based upon the information from Ashley O'Brien, went to Montana, observed the situation, and recommended that it be approved.
On to the next one. I know Member Mercer, you were going to cover this, but I'll go ahead and do that. I know you're feeling poorly this morning. The next one is phone poll 17488. It was the purchase request of a T5105 New Holland tractor. This was basically a purchase request to replace an economy model that the Quapaw Cattle Company utilized that really wasn't the appropriate equipment. The reason this one was emergency is because this particular purchase opportunity became available and required approval approximately 4 hours later. The good news here is we were able to acquire that piece of equipment. Number 2, the costs of which were immediately offset by jobs that we already had lined up. And so the purchase price was already covered by that expected work. This one was approved 6-0. And again, just like Member Buffalo said, we had to initially approve this one via email due to the system being down. Member Davis, are you able to cover poll number 17497? Okay. I'll go ahead and cover it. 17497 was authorization to sign an Indian Health Service letter. It was basically authorizing the chair, Weena Supernaw, to sign a letter requesting assistance from IHS to provide sanitation facilities which were identified in the IHS deficiency system for the fiscal year 2024. The reason this one was emergency is because of the deadlines from IHS. These were already basically pre-lined up projects that IHS will be funding. and the deadline was only a couple of days out, so we had to go ahead and approve that. And again, this one was done initially on email because the system was down. The last one I'll go ahead and cover is poll number 18723, Historic Preservation Fund Tribal Heritage Grant Resolution. So primarily the reason this one was an emergency is because we had to go through basically a pre-certification process prior to even being able to introduce the grant. Once that pre-certification was complete, we had 24 hours to get the authorization and the resolution back on behalf of the Quapaw Nation Business Committee. This one was approved by a count of 5 approvals, 1 abstention, so it was approved. I'll accept a motion to approve these phone polls.
Madam Chairman, I move to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Member Gibbs-Water. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the phone polls, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions?
1 abstention.
1 abstention. Vice Chair Glass. And the motion passes to approve the 4 phone polls. That concludes the phone polls. We'll go ahead and go on to the Treasury report. I do have a couple of updates, primarily from the casino financials, in addition to the Treasurer's report that was already submitted. So just a couple of items. So Arkansas Money in Politics, so I'm referencing Saracen. Annually, they ask their readers to tell them which are the most admired companies in the natural state, using a criteria of financial soundness, boldness, innovation, brand awareness, quality of product, outstanding people, and social responsibility. They judge their businesses in 73 different categories. The winner in the casino category was a Saracen Casino and Resort. So congratulations to the entire Saracen team. Referencing the June financials, the June financials for Saracen, they continue to see favorable trends in volumes as slot handle exceeded prior year results by a little over 7%, and slot revenue finished above budget by 14%. Sportsbook volume more than doubled the experience in July 2022, continuing a favorable trend even in what really should be a down month for sports betting. Total gaming revenue finished 9% higher than July of last year and 13% above budget. Management continues monitoring impacts from the economic headwinds that were prevalent really since last summer. So, we talked about this in the past, but guest counts basically are down year over year. However, the volumes that they're gambling are continue to increase. And the resort team is excited to continue making progress on significant projects, especially in terms of diversifying cash flows and providing the best gaming experience to their guests. Focus continues on building a premier experience to provide future returns for the Quapaw Nation. Quapaw Casino for the month ending June, EBITDA totaled $431,000 with a margin of 20.4%. That exceeded their budgeted expectation by $62,000 and represents an increase of just shy of $100,000 from June of 2022. Net income for the month totaled $423,000 with a margin of 20% and represents a positive budget variance of $91,000. Net income compared to June of last year increased by $128,000. In June, they also made a significant investment in treasury bills for the cash reserves that are being held back for purposes of building the new casino. That money has been successfully invested, especially in the case of interest rates where they are. That actually helps Quapaw Casino with their financial readiness to commence construction. Downstream Casino, the June financial results, EBITDA totaled $7.8 million with a margin of 44%. June's results exceeded the budgeted expectation and were almost $1 million higher than June of last year. Total net revenue for the month was $17.6 million, and this equaled net revenue for May of 2023 and represents an increase from June of $907,000 or 34.4%. Net income for the month totaled $6 million with a margin of 34.1% and represents a positive budget variance of almost $1.5 million. Net income compared to June last year showed an increase of $0.7 million. Debt reduction through June accelerated with the required quarterly payment of $7.5 million. We pay $7.5 million at the end of each quarter, and this payment brought the debt eliminated to $137 million in the 19-month period since the restructure closed. And the next payment is due on September the 30th. At this point, I'll accept a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? I'll call for the question. Those in favor of accepting the treasurer's report, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The motion to approve the treasurer's report passes. Okay, we're going to keep moving on. The next up is the approval, disapproval of the directors and subcommittees reports that were previously submitted to us. Is there a motion to approve the directors and subcommittees reports?
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll go ahead and second. Is there any further discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor of accepting the directors and subcommittee reports, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The motion to approve the directors and subcommittee reports passes. We'll move on to the chair's reports. Hold on to your hats. I got quite a bit, folks. All right, so some of the material events that have occurred since we last met, we've actually sat through 4 different consultations beginning in late July and early August. These consultations are important because this is an important component of government-to-government relations expected based on our sovereignty. The first consultation was on water quality standards, and those new standards are expected to come out spring of 2024. The next one was really more of an introductory meeting with the National NIGC office that occurred on July 21st, so that was an important introduction. Next one was on an ICWA consultation that Family Services also participated in. That consultation was not only with many other tribal nations, but also the Department of Interior and the Department of Justice, focused on strengthening ICWA. Although there was much celebration on the recent Supreme Court ruling, there's much room to further strengthen. The next one was on safeguarding tribal objects of patrimony, or STOP. That was with the Department of Interior, again with multiple other tribal nations. Moving on from consultations, over the last month, we have, the Business Committee has conducted 24 separate budget reviews with each of the executive directors as well as the department heads. This is the first time this has occurred. It's very much a bottom-up as well as a top-down exercise, not only expected to ensure that we are indeed performing the appropriate level of financial stewardship of the tribal funds, tribal members' money. We want to make sure that we are evaluating all of our expected revenues as well as our expenses in the upcoming year as diligently as possible. Although those reviews are not complete, we do expect to have a finalized budget in time for the commencement of the new fiscal year come October 1. Fun item was we've got a fair number of interns within the Quapaw Nation, sponsored by the Quapaw Nation Higher Education, and we sat through a final report from one of these really bright interns doing a project in the Environmental Services Department. It was an excellent report on glass recycling, and I think we all learned something about that. The Quapaw Nation Tax Commission, including Business Committee members Newton, Davis, and Mercer, and the tax administrator, OITA board member Debbie Ray, attended the OITA meeting on July 19th in Stroud. So that was a really good session. Downstream hosted the 12th annual O-gah-pah Gathering Language Conference. Thank you to Member Davis for delivering the opening remarks, as well as leading the child care for 3 days. Thank you to the O-gah-pah Preservation Society Board of Directors, the volunteers, the Cultural Committee, O-gah-pah Communications, and all the participants. Proud to announce that we now have 2 Quapaw tribal members on the Board of Directors. Congratulations to Billy Proctor and Dana Daylight. We're confident they will do a great job. We were also selected to host next year's event, tentatively scheduled for July 24th and 25th. A number of BC members attended Oklahoma Indian Gaming Association conference earlier this week in Tulsa, and we're really glad Vice Chair Glass, as well as Member Gibbswater, were able to attend as well. The following committees, subcommittees have openings. You may have seen the post on the Quapaw Post: Constitution, Cultural, Children's, and New Business Development. Thank you to all of those who have already stated your interest. If others are interested, please provide your contact information, the subcommittees of interest, and what you think you can contribute to the subcommittee's goals. Please email that to brent.devine@quapawnation.com, and we hope to announce all the changes during the September meeting in time for the new fiscal year that begins October 1. In terms of employment, we now have a new tribal court prosecutor, Nathan Coleman, who just started on August the 11th, so congratulations to Nathan. We have a new downstream and Quapaw Casino CFO, Mary Caballero, so we're thrilled that she accepted that position. We also have a new executive director, Department of Public Safety, Charles Addington. I'm glad you're here, Charles. I thought you would already be opening up the Quapaw Bash. And the Quapaw Bash occurs from 10 to 2 today, and everybody is welcome to attend the event. We do have a couple of significant milestones. On July the 24th, the Oklahoma Senate and on the House of Representatives on July 31st voted to overturn Governor Stitt's veto on a 1-year compact extension. For us, it impacts our tobacco compact. The Quapaw Nation was happy to be present in the Senate gallery to watch the vote as multiple Oklahoma tribal nations came together to show our support for those trying to overturn the governor's veto and watch very carefully those who sided with the governor. Our own representative was one of those who sided with the governor. We should all remember that. The governor filed a lawsuit stating the proper procedures were not followed in that vote. Let's see how this plays out in the court. In the meantime, we'll work with other tribes as a united force in negotiating the tobacco compact. Next was a request for proposal for independent review of the Good Eagle distributions analysis and the bear settlement was placed on the tribal website July the 20th. We talked about that last month. We committed to doing that, and that is well in progress. The deadline for the RFP submissions is August the 25th, next Friday, and we look forward to reviewing those who responded and making a selection decision. I think this is important to all of us. We'd also like to give a progress update on the amendments to the governing resolution that were voted upon and passed July the 22nd, and then subsequently certified by the Election Committee on July the 26th. So there's a lot to report, so please bear with me. And I'm going to go through it amendment by amendment to show that the Quapaw people voted on July the 22nd. The Election Committee certified on the July the 26th. There were a multitude of these amendments that require and obligate the Business Committee to act and to fulfill those amendments, and that's what we're going to give the progress report on. Amendment 1C, all resolutions must be available 10 days prior to the Business Committee meeting, and phone polls can only be emergencies. The reason for the emergency has to be documented, and that was accomplished with one exception. The resolution for the Constitution Committee Robert's Rules of Order training analysis, good grief, the one we couldn't get done in time impacted the Constitution Committee. So we will endeavor to do better, but we did indeed miss one of them this month. It was done a day late. Amendment 1D, Business Committee must conduct all Quapaw Nation business using assets and technology owned by the Quapaw Nation. With the exception of the two elected, the new vice chair as well as member, everyone on the Quapaw Nation Business Committee has a Quapaw Nation issued laptop, email address, and phone that we are expected to all use. And then that should be resolved for the new vice chair and member early next week. Amendment 2, Freedom of Information request. That form is up on the tribal website and available. It also includes all of the rules and the information that's required to be submitted. So please feel free. That is now available. Amendment 3A and B covers changes in BC compensation going forward. So that's expected to come up next July 4th, 2024. Amendment 4C, effective, this has to do with BC compensation. Effective August 1, all business committee compensation comes solely from the Quapaw Nation at the last approved amount. That's $150,000 for the chair and $125,000 for all other 6 positions. That has been done. It is complete. 5D is the one that decided the BC can no longer sit on the casino authorities within 6 months. The clock started ticking on July 26th when the certification occurred. We understand the charters must be rewritten. All historical and current charters have been gathered, and we're beginning the process of the rewrite. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but have no concerns in meeting the 6-month grace period. Amendment 6 was really more BIA administrative housekeeping, so there was no further action required. Amendment 7. It expanded the grievance committee from 3 to 5 persons of Quapaw Indian blood. Therefore, we have 2 vacancies, and we'll call a special general counsel to fill those vacancies. More on that shortly. Amendment 8 pertained to the 3 even year and 2 odd year grievance committee elections. Okay, so we're going to address that. Amendments 9, 10, and 12 impact the grievance committee investigative Sorry about that. Yeah, so the 9, 10, and 12 impacted the grievance committee's authority with their ability to investigate and ways in which people can engage the grievance process. So that impacts the activities of the grievance committee, not the business committee, with one exception. Now, that exception is 10F, talked about vacancies and states. If more than one vacancy occurs, this is regarding the grievance committee, a special Quapaw Indian Council election shall take place the first Saturday following 60 days from the last vacancy. And it turns out that day count results in the date of September the 30th. And again, we'll discuss that momentarily. Amendment 11 discusses the rights and authorities of the grievance committee. One item that should be called out is the grievance committee has a deadline of July 4th, 2024 to present their policies and procedures to the Quapaw Indian Council for approval. Amendment 13A establishes the Ethics Commission, a 5-person body, and shall be elected by nomination from the floor at the next Quapaw Indian Council. Yet another reason to call a special general counsel and get those critical positions filled. Amendment 14B states, after the initial election of the Ethics Commission officers, the Ethics Commission shall prepare a code of ethics to be approved by the Quapaw Indian Council. The Code of Ethics shall be prepared and drafted, and that draft presented no less than 30 days before the next meeting of the Quapaw Indian Council or at a special meeting of the Quapaw Indian Council. So for anybody that ultimately is nominated and elected to the Ethics Commission, they have an immediate task before them. Amendment 14C through F provides more guidance on the Code of Ethics coverage and who is subject to them. Amendment 15 was another administrative one. And the last one, Amendment 16, changed Section 9 of the governing resolution to state the accounts and records of the Quapaw Nation Business Committee and any account of the Secretary-Treasurer is a signatory or agent of shall be open at all times for inspection by the Grievance Committee and when necessary, a third party selected by the Grievance Committee. Expenses incurred for said inspection are to be paid for from the Quapaw Nation General Fund. So it's really more procedural nature and not an action the BC must take on at this point. So that covers all of the amendments and the progress that has been conducted. Next topic is on BEAR. Last month, we talked about Plaintiff Group 2 congressional lobbying efforts on behalf of their 53 clients and how disappointed we were to learn this. We also stated we were considering calling a special general counsel for the purpose of voting to let Congress know where the Quapaw Indian Council stands on this matter, the distribution of the BEAR proceeds. Since that time, we learned Plaintiff Group 2 brought forward their own version of the BEAR authorizing language. We have not seen that language. We were told by our potential bill sponsors from the Oklahoma delegation they will not introduce any legislation until the two groups come together with a common voice. As a result, we want an opportunity for the Quapaw Indian Council to do that in a special general council. To address these items, per Section 10 of the governing resolution, I, Weena Supernaw, the Quapaw Nation Business Committee Chair, is calling 3 special general councils to occur consecutively on Saturday, September the 30th, 2023, at the Downstream Pavilion starting at 9 a.m. Each meeting will be treated separately for a specifically called topic. No other matters can be brought forward. Special General Council Meeting 1, fill 2 Grievance Committee odd year vacancies by nomination from the floor and vote. Special General Council Meeting 2, fill 5 Ethics Commission positions by nomination from the floor and vote. Special General Council Meeting 3, vote by the Quapaw Indian Council on whether the BEAR v. U.S. settlement proceeds, once authorized appropriated by Congress, are to be distributed fully and equally to all enrolled Quapaw Nation members as of September 27th, 2019, still living at the time of distribution. The 9/30/23 Special General Council announcement will be made in social media and other print media on Monday. We encourage all tribal members and Quapaw blood voters to be present that day and hope to see you there. Ganake. Okay, next up on the agenda, we've got the accounting report. Eric Boone, CFO. What you got for us today, Eric?
Just a few numbers. Congratulations, Joey. Congratulations, Sonny, on your newly elected positions. Look forward to working with you over the next 2 years. Month of July, the general fund received $2.8 million, bringing our total for the year to $26.9 million. Actual expenses in July were $2.8 million, bringing our total for the year to $27.4 million. Our tribal member benefit in July was $365,000, bringing our total for the fiscal year to $4.35 million. Our social services benefits in July were $271,000, bringing our total for the year to $2.6 million. And our education benefits in July was $120,000, bringing our total for the year to $939,000. Our tribal member enterprises distributed $450,000 to the general fund, bringing our total for the year to $2.6 million. Our child care development fund in the month of July assisted 194 children and families with child care. Our grants department has been working diligently with some departments to help streamline their funding and their processes, and helping with compliance issues as well. Our IT department received 154 help desk tickets in July, and we're able to close 132 of those. Our procurement department assisted with purchase of 127 purchase requests in the month of July. Our tags department had 156 renewals, 46 new registrations, and distributed 1 car seat in the month of July. And our tax department, tax commission, to date, tax revenue collected is $1.2 million. Does anybody have any questions? All right, thank you.
Great update. Thank you, Eric. Next, we've got the subcommittee reports. Elders Committee. Grace, thank you.
The Elders Committee has met, and first of all, we want to congratulate the new members to the Business Committee, and we are looking forward to working with the Business Committee in upcoming months, years. I did want to mention, though, that we wanted to follow up on the Elders Council, what that might look like. So we will follow up on that. Upcoming events, we're looking at a fall trip, and we are also going to participate in the Quapaw gathering on October 14. And also, if a date hasn't already been submitted to Downstream for our December dinner. So that's in the works. Gonna go.
Thank you, Grace. Are there other subcommittees? Constitution Committee, Election Committee?
Morning, everyone.
Good morning, Roman.
Okay, so first of all, Chairwoman Supernal has spoken about the amendments that have been approved by you and that are going to effect right now. And this is an awesome task that the Business Committee is about to undertake. And one, I applaud you for it. And, you know, you're about to take on something that's life-changing for all of us. And we ask that you keep that in mind. The Constitution Committee has a couple of things in the works. One is a constitutional or a nation building seminar that'll take place November 4th and 5th. We do know that that's going to be the same day as our special election, and we are going to build in an extended lunch break to ensure that everybody that is in attendance at least has an opportunity to vote that day. We also have another event potentially, 081923T at the bottom of the resolutions today is going to potentially approve engagement to work with Civility. Civility is a Robert's Rules of Order parliamentarian company. We have engaged, or the tribe, yeah, that's murky. The tribe has engaged in business with Civility before. We've done a lot of research on Civility, and they are very much what we need. And what that training would be a 4-hour seminar. We anticipate for Sunday, October 22nd, and that would be to give all of us, whoever would be willing to attend, an opportunity to become more informed on Robert's Rules of Order and how we play into that, the rights and responsibilities that we have in how our meetings are conducted, both the Business Committee and our Indian Council. The third thing is that we are currently working on, I know this has been a topic for a couple of months, but a questionnaire. We'd still want to solicit feedback. The reasons, we've a couple of reasons that this has been postponed. One is because we didn't want to rush what we were trying to ask. We want to make sure that we're collecting the right feedback that we're looking for. And also we want to be able to work with whatever information is provided and how to work that into our nation building seminar. All right, so that we got a lot of pre-information that we're being guided a little stronger with the feedback that we receive. I have been informed that the Business Committee has selected, there was a RFP that was posted in June looking for a full-time Constitution Committee member. RFPs were collected for a little over a month, and the Business Committee has made a selection, and I have been selected for that position. So I just wanted to announce that. As a part of that, the Business Committee or the Constitution Committee has met last Monday. I resigned my position as the chair on the Constitution Committee. We had a discussion on what the Constitution Committee chair should be and what that would look like. The Constitution Committee decided to reinstate me as the chair for multiple reasons. Everything that we're asking this full-time position to do is everything that the chair should have proper knowledge and full working knowledge of. So that's the Constitution Committee's decision, but we want to keep this above water and keep it proper. So we also want to make sure that the Indian Council has some feedback in that also. So if there's any objection to that, we encourage that to be brought up to the business committee, and we also encourage that to be brought up at general council if there's any improperness that you think that there might be with that. The Constitution Committee will not be, we're also going to be held to the ethics, the code of ethics. All committees will be held to the code of ethics. So there's so many layers of that are going to be working, and we just want to let you know that this is being thought about, and we are adamant about providing opportunity for objection in this process. And that's it.
One question I have is regarding the subcommittee bylaws. I just want to have an opportunity to check that. My best recollection is it's all fine. I just want to make sure. Yeah.
Yes. And I don't remember when that was approved. That was September 3 years ago, I believe.
Yeah.
The business committee approved subcommittee bylaws for all subcommittees to follow, and we are in line with that also.
Roman, great update. Thank you. A lot of good progress. Any other subcommittees? Thank you, Frank. We'll get a report out by the Hard Work and Election Committee.
I only have one thing to announce. Last month I said the filing date would end on the 27th. On looking on the calendar, that's a Sunday. So we have backed that up to the 25th. So this Friday will be the last day for anyone who desires and has the ability to be a secretary-treasurer. You need to file before the end of Friday, business day. Other than that, everything's going good, and we're trying to keep everybody updated on what's going on. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Frank. Any other updates from the subcommittees? Okay, if not, let's go ahead and proceed to the executive director reports. Trenton Stand, Executive Director of Resource Management. And if you would, Trenton, when you give your update, could you specifically address the chat sale resolution that's going to come up as a part of new business? Thank you.
Yes, and I think there's a couple others I'll touch on too. All right, good morning, everybody. Congratulations. Let's see, I'll go ahead and knock those out. So, what Chair Supernall was mentioning was we have another chat sale that's being presented to the Business Committee by resolution today for approval. I think this is the second or third on this site. It's basically, it goes hand in hand with our remediation work that's going on in Pitcher. It falls under our general chat funding, removal funds from EPA to basically get site prepped for full-blown remediation. And that was part of what we discussed last month, and I think touched on a little bit the month before was, us just trying to take advantage and get landowners and chat owners every opportunity that they can to sell an asset that's on their property that by its current state doesn't have value by processors just because it's not lucrative enough for them to mob their equipment in there and process these smaller satellite piles. We have to clean it up and haul it out anyways. So we were able to work with EPA to allow us, instead of hauling it to the repository, which you guys see on the way to Commerce or Miami is growing every day, to fill that up faster, we're able to take it to a processor. Another one that's on there, there's a couple, Realty has a couple feet of trusts that's been submitted to the Bureau. I think one may be needing action taken here today, but I'm not sure what the 35 lots are. I haven't seen that resolution, but I am aware of the garden properties acquisition. We have also the mandatory that's scheduled for a site visit by Eastern Oklahoma region. Under the mandatory provisions, they do not require environmental, but their environmental department has to come up and do their due diligence just to see the property. This one actually makes a little more sense now because it says 35 lots. It may be the in-town of Quapaw request there on Main Street. Just flying off the top of my head, I think that's what that is. So that would basically initiate the fee to trust acquisition process, so the realty office can get that submitted to the BIA. And then I see one purchase of restricted interest on there, so that'll be a land consolidation acquisition. That's the land's already in restricted status, and somebody has requested to sell their interest to the business committee. All right, so forestry, they're pretty busy. They're trying to get enough. There's 3 of them, so they're trying to get some firewood put back for this winter. They're still down their lift truck. It's still in Waco. We get positive updates monthly from them that they got the parts now. It's just in line, yada, 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 but it's not moving very fast. However, when Michael took that piece of equipment down to Waco, he said the facility was just massive. There is a lot, which makes sense when there's only the 3 locations in the United States working on them. There's going to be a lot of inventory there. So hopefully that gets released to them quicker, because that's kind of hindering some of their requests that they've received. They've assisted fire and EMS last month on some fuels projects. They were able to get 1 tribal member tree removed last month, and then 1 basically just some land clearing. They did a pollinator garden over by their current office in Pitcher, and then worked on the propagation houses repairs for their greenhouses and stuff, because they have some restoration funding coming from the environmental side for the Elm Creek project, basically allowing them to plant trees and plants within the riparian areas of Elm Creek. So they're gearing up for some of that work. And that pretty much covers them. The Quapaw Cattle Company, feedlot's been, it's been up in numbers, which is always a good thing for that. They're pretty much at full capacity right now at the feedlot, or the feeding facility. We obtained an agreement for Mitch to use to kind of give him a little more teeth in the event that we have somebody at that facility that doesn't pay timely, kind of set some standards for him to be able to go after people a little bit better with, like I said, some more teeth. He picked up, as I've mentioned past months, where we retained like 50 heifers for the growth of our own herd. So in doing that, we picked up 3 bulls that, are tested to be able to be put on heifers, so they're not throwing too big calves, just to help with their overall health and safety. So we have those. Those came from Rondo Farms, if I'm saying that correctly. But we've so far, as of Mitch's report, and it's staggered pretty just about every day, it seems like. As of his report to me, he had processed 10 animals for the meat distribution that's happening this fall. We look to be on schedule for that early September date. We'll be recirculating the dates and times for that initial disbursement via website, Facebook, and all that for everybody, so everybody's in the know of when they can schedule time to be there. We're trying to do it, I think, over two or 3 days, and to allow a weekend for those working that may not be able to make it during the week. He's working on pastures that Weena mentioned, the emergency purchase of the tractor. That was dire need in this time of year for him, and there was only 2 in the United States of that model. So that was kind of right place, right time. We just was fortunate enough to be able to have avenues to cover the majority of that cost, and on the business committee to allow us to acquire that, because we had tractors down from working on the Ray property, Blue Radiator, and so it was hard to brush hog, and we're behind now, brush hogging, trying to get hay finished in August. We're looking to have to do some spraying. It's been a couple years since they sprayed anything on pasture wise. So this next year, they look to take that on. He's finalizing the herd development grant. Doing that's on the bison side. So through that basically puts how are you going to develop your herd better? In short, right now he's trying to get the funding approval to acquire a hay hauler that has capacity to carry 24 bales at a time, as opposed to the 7 that he's currently able to do, obviously saving fuel costs and man hours on making less trips. The environmental department, environmental/QSA, they've been pretty busy this past month or actually currently this past week. Susie Atokney has confirmed she's been put on the steering committee for the Tribal Air Monitoring Support Center. So that's a good thing for our environmental department. Our environmental department is also in Syracuse, New York, doing presentations out there. We also have Maria at QSA. She's up in Chicago at a training and doing presentations over EPA project management things there. So Quapaw Nation's been very out in front in environmental this past month. So that's a good thing. A lot of things to be proud of there. Environmental department's working on a roads agreement with Ottawa County through the funding. Obviously, we have a lot of big equipment going on county roads. So basically, this agreement allows a little more clarity in how Ottawa County can request funds that we budget for in these projects for road repairs. We've been working on the early bird repository and agreement for when the Kansas work kicks off. We're still waiting that award. However, we're trying to get out in front of, okay, when we start hauling that material in Kansas, we have to take it to a repository like we have here north of Commerce, and it's going to stay, that material is going to stay in Kansas. So we're working on that agreement with WDM, who is the owner operator of that repository. And QSA, from last July, numbers were down a little bit on total tons moved. They covered 80,000, almost 81,000 tons removed in July. Of course, we had weather being a little bit of that issue, and haul trucks. We were helping out with the Ray pad being covered. That dipped it a little bit. So we're starting to track a lot of those. I'm asking for a lot of those numbers. I like seeing numbers, so we're getting a lot. I'm starting to build a little bit of data that I can compare to month. So that's going to be better, I think, for you guys and for me in the future. Like I mentioned, Realty, skip over to them. They got the garden property feeder trust submitted. They did a initial site walkthrough with the MIME agency last week. The mandatory, like I mentioned, it's scheduled for Eastern Oklahoma region to come up. That's kind of the last thing to check that off, and that's for 200 acres that comes into the south side of the west side of Quapaw, and goes into the crop field just west of the Dollar General for general location of that project. We wrapped up an additional chat sale other than the one mentioned on the resolutions before. and are in finally moving on a right-of-way negotiation. We've been kind of going back and forth with the company, trying to go around us, trying to figure out ways that they can apply condemnation to kind of force an agreement on people, which we fortunately we had all our ducks in rows prior to, so it didn't allow them to be able to file condemnation on these properties. And we hope in September we may have a resolution there, which would be phenomenal because it's been expired since '64, and that was one of the first projects I ever had when I started working here. So, food sovereignty, as you guys see, washing packs up. Doors are scheduled to be hung here pretty quick. We had a little bit of issue with dent and dings on the doors arriving, and so James's crew was very on top of not accepting damaged goods. So we're getting those hung, then we can finish the build out for that facility. Greenhouses and high tunnels you guys should start seeing those coming. Our high tunnels got basically the go ahead just last month because they were waiting on a kind of a TIPO and SHPO process through the NRCS office. You'll see the pavilion work is ongoing right across from the museum, Title VI. That's basically will be just an outdoor pavilion. It'll have some a little water garden features off the side, but they can do events, classes, anything like that. They have some plans for future corn maze and things on the property, pumpkin patch and things that's easily changeable if they need to, given the area and the use of the property. But that'd be a kind of good central location between the wash and pack, elderly housing, museum, and everything there. So people can have events. It should be a pretty nice facility. That is what I have today. We have a few sales I didn't go over, but they're just kind of in negotiation stages and discussions with the BC. So we do have a few of those, but those are every month. We have people that we want to give it back to the tribe for a crazy amount of dollars, but some of those are legitimate. So we kind of have to weed through those requests, but those are always out there. That's everything.
Trent, you said that the food distribution date is targeted for early
September.
September?
Yes. We will recirculate that. We talked about it last week with Michelle and Jean Ann, and I'll make sure that gets recirculated on dates and times, because I know they were staggering like three days. They was trying to allow so everybody had plenty of time for pickup, and it will be down on Main Street at the Farmers Market Food Hub area is where that distribution will take place.
Great. Thank you.
No problem.
Looking forward to it.
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Right
Trenton,
now,
can you make sure to repeat the question for the Zoom
Oh, yes.
participants?
So basically, we had a question. Does the nation take care of the property that they're leasing? For example, the fertilizing costs and things like that. So yes, that does fully. We don't have any cost share splits for product like a share crop or anything in any of our leases right now. There's been a couple that's been discussed in the past, but when you start splitting those costs on tracks where there's multiple landowners, it's hard to get everybody on that same page. But to your question, yes, that is that bill is covered by Quapaw Cattle Company, and they're spraying every couple years. That's what Mitch had put in his report, that this next year is we need to get back on the spraying. and they were a little short-handed on some tracks that you may see that look like they have a little bit of weeds in it that need brush hogged. Equipment personnel in the middle of hay season was he's playing catch up right now on the brush hogging side. So, hope that answered everything you know. All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you. You all have a good day.
Thank you, Mitch. Next up, Executive Director James Dawson, the Quapaw Facilities Authority. Did I say? Oh, sorry. I think I need more coffee, y'all.
Just going to clarify, I'm James.
All right, Steva, you go right ahead and give your report.
Congratulations, Joey. Congratulations, Sonny. Look forward to working with you. If you haven't noticed, the admin stormwater management project is complete. It was completed by Omega Landscape Company. Over 600 feet of subgrade drainage, 3 new drain boxes, additional downspouts, 2 50-gallon and 2 100-gallon collection tanks were installed. So I don't think we're going to have any more issues with water around the administration buildings. Powwow Grounds, Cherokee Builders has started the water portion of the project and progressing on schedule. They're close to completing the water line installation on the northern part on the west side of the creek. And they'll continue to work south. We've scheduled with the contractor, and this isn't going to interfere with usage of the grounds for the fall gathering. So everything will be okay. They're not going to be in anybody's way. Lincolnville project, Utility Field Services is a contractor for this project, and it's funded by IHS. They're paying us to manage the project. It's proceeding as planned with no setbacks. So far, roughly 3,500 linear feet of force main have been installed down East 50 Road, and they have turned and are turning down 628 Road at this time. They estimate a 30 to 60 day completion and discontinued use of the lagoons. And if you're not familiar with the Lincolnville project, the reason that that's being done is the lagoon in Lincolnville is failing. So they are installing a lift station with force main, taking it to the lift station at Blue Stem, which will in turn take it to the lagoons for the city of Quapaw. So that project will be planned to be completed in 30, 60 days, weather permitting. The outdoor classroom for environmental over by the smelter pond has been completed. It was done by Jeremiah Crandell. If you haven't driven by the former Ray property, groundwork continues. Concrete contractors will be there Monday to start digging footings and pouring footings and slabs for houses to start. At OLC, we're waiting for the walkway portion of the materials to finish production before the covered walkway and covered parking is installed. Of course, everybody knows when you order materials, it takes forever to get them sometimes, so we're still waiting on materials for that project to start. Whiskey Creek Welding is a contractor for that project. As Trenton mentioned, the Food Sovereignty Pavilion on the garden property, the slab's been poured, waiting on concrete to cure. And once that gets its curing process over with, that project should take 2 to 3 weeks to complete. That's a grant-funded project. Splash pad and OLC playground. Ranco is a contractor for this project. We received most of the features for the playground, and we purchased the features for the splash pad. There were some final design changes made on August 1st, and we're expecting final drawings from the architect any day now. That'll also come with final budget numbers, and once the design and budget is approved, we'll move straight into construction. And there will be a groundbreaking ceremony for the splash pad once the contractor mobilizes in, and we'll set that date and make that available to the public so everybody that wants to attend can attend. Within maintenance, our HVAC crew repairs were made to the wellness center air conditioners. I figured I'd get some round of applause for that. It was kind of warm in there for some days, but I promise you right now, if you go in there, yeah, the gym is, you could probably hang meat in there right now. Certain times of day, because it's Bruv and Travis and Hunter was up there, Hunter Sappington and Bob Rhodes, our electricians, they were up there helping too. So we got those things, they're working very well now. And also there's some work going on the environmental lab, the AC unit. And I've had a couple tribal members that have been helped with repairs to their HVAC units as well. Our electrical crew, 2 electrical hookups for fuel tanks were completed at Downstream and the Wyandotte Fire Station for their fuel tanks. And then we've also had a tribal member that had some minor electrical repairs to help prevent fire at their home. Maintenance, we're installing doors and walls at the QSA mechanic shop. If you haven't been in the mechanic shop, there's an area back where their break room, and they have a little bit of a storage area, and the offices has AC, but wasn't working very well. So we're sealing off those areas to where the HVAC is more efficient. And we've had 25 work orders scheduled and completed this month. Privacy fence on Whitebird Street at Elder Housing is complete, and planning on starting that's on the eastern side of the property. On the west side of the property, down 137, that will start on that side very soon. Elder Housing, all units occupied. We still have 4 on the waiting list. Last month on Nahasda, I reported that the next person that was on the list, their environmental came back hot. So they're still on the list, but by rule, we have to go on to the next person on the list. So that process has already started to get their property sent into environmental to be checked, and that the next Nahasda house will be started as soon as we get the go-ahead on their environmental report. DV office, it's nearing completion. Trim work is being completed, as well as final electrical and plumbing. IT also has to install security cameras and building security. So it's really close to having the DV office open. DV home sheetrock was delivered. They will probably start hanging sheetrock sometime this week. Exterior siding's been installed on one of those buildings, and the outside's complete, and with 2 of those remaining. But if you haven't been down by, it looks really nice down there, and that's a much needed project. That's all I have.
I did have a question for you, James, regarding the elder housing fence project. And this is just a suggestion, because there are a couple of outstanding questions about where exactly those fences are going to go beyond Whitebird Street, and what's going to look like in between each individual duplex or triplex. What might be helpful is to share with all of the residents what the plan's going to look like upon completion, and solicit their feedback. There might be an opportunity to either share a diagram or invite people in so that they can get their questions answered. I think that might be really helpful for people to understand what it's eventually going to look like upon completion, and have influence on how those plans unfold.
Yeah. I'll take care of that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. There's another question. Henry?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I know that Quapaw Nation, of course, this was before I was employed, but Quapaw Nation made a donation to Quapaw Little League to put fence at the Little League field, and it is up, and it was completed. It looks really nice. I don't know if any of you have children or grandchildren that play there, but it really does not look nice, and it was very much appreciated. My son plays there, so I appreciate it.
That's great. Another question, Betty? We're right here. Oh, you're right. Good question. Don't have a good answer for you. The good news is we do have a designated room in the admin building that we're in the process of getting re-outfitted. So instead of it being a couple of kludgy conference tables, each one of us will have a designated desk so that we will be in the admin building, because we realize that considering the amendments that were passed on July 22nd, and we cannot be on the DDA anymore. Therefore, my expectation is we cannot have offices in the downstream, and not everybody had an office in downstream, or even if they did, they didn't care to use it because it was too inconvenient. So we will have a spot within the admin building, so at least we've got some place to congregate, work together, be accessible. Yeah. Grace?
Um, the inside of the building is complete. I don't think that that they can't hang anything. They just have to.
So I'll take
Use
that
it.
one.
Okay.
I think the question was around the ability or inability to hang personal artwork on the walls. The business committee met, and what we decided to do was to be very judicious in what artwork was allowed up. We formed a small group of people that are basically, from a style standpoint, to create consistency. Maybe we have a wasp or bee. Do we need to be careful back there? Okay. Uh-oh. Sorry about that. But we are being mindful of consistency to ensure a professional, cohesive look throughout the facility, because it does look so nice at this point, and we want to maintain that. So that's the scoop on the artwork. For those on Zoom who may be hearing some background noise, it looks like we've got a pretty large wasp or some other flying insect that's just decided to join us this morning. Thank you to Everett Bandy for saving us from the stinger. I do think, Grace, you had a second question. One was on the interior and the other one was of illness.
And now, and I'll address that. We've had air quality tests done previously during construction when everything was cleaned out, taken out. They did air quality tests throughout the building in the attic. We've had another air quality test done approximately 3 weeks ago in a couple of offices, because we had heard the same thing. But just yesterday, we've had another air quality test ordered for the entire building, every office in the attic and within the HVAC system, to see if there is something in there. Now, so far, the previous test, everything has come back negative. There was no airborne anything within the air. We did find in some file cabinets that we didn't realize, and we have since removed those from the building. They're not in the building any longer. But we did have another air quality test ordered yesterday, and we should have the results within a week. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Yeah. So we are addressing that because, you know, we're being proactive rather than reactive.
One more question, Brenda?
Do I do them? To my knowledge, no, but I haven't been there that long, so I don't know if they have been done in the past or if they will be done, but I haven't done any.
Why don't we suggest looking at the standards for either the county or our region and
Okay.
determining if radon is recommended? Because I know in other parts of the country it's not uncommon but required. Sure, it was for consistency and overall professionalism of the building. So we've decided to get a small group of people together to basically decide on, you know, what each one of the frames should look like and make them all the same. And then we're also taking a look at some of the beautiful artwork that was prepared specifically for the SPIVA exhibit to bring that over and utilize that as well. One more question? Yes? We love that idea. We just had that conversation earlier this week, trying to come up with some sort of a blind option because in the afternoon hours, especially when that western exposure really takes hold, you're right.
Any other questions?
Thank you,
Thank you.
Steva. Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Actually, speaking of Steva, she's not here this morning due to sudden illness, and we hope that she gets better quite quickly. I did want to invite our new executive director of DPS, Charles Addington, if he would like to address us in this meeting this morning. Looks like he's agreeable.
Well, good morning, everybody,
Morning.
and congratulations, Sonny, Joey, Linda, and Larry. Look forward to working with you guys moving forward here. So I do have some numbers for you guys, kind of give you an idea of what's going on in the Department of Public Safety. Sunday was my first day kind of overseeing everything, so kind of jumped in there and started looking at what we're doing at all the different departments. So at our fire department this month, fire and EMS, they had about 193 calls for service that they went on at all three stations. Our mobile integrated health had about 115 different calls that they went on. That includes home visits, transports, emergency responses, and health screenings, those kind of things. Our emergency management had about 30 incidents, which they went on a few missions, and our K-9 teams over at the emergency management office went and assisted in a couple different other agency assists with their K-9s. The Marshal Service had about 406 calls for service, 406 reports completed. And just give you an idea, that numbers has been growing and growing since McGirt happened, the Lawhorn decision for us, but there's about 1,700 calls for service in the 911 center in a month, and we're about 400 to 500 of those calls in a month. So, and that's every agency across Ottawa County. That's the sheriff's office, it's Miami PD, all the different tribes, everybody dispatches through that call center. So we're about a fourth of the activity that goes on with all those calls. So you can see how busy they are there. The courts had about 151 different cases that they dealt with, which includes criminal, civil, custody cases, and then they also heard about 101 cases throughout the month of July, and have 5 active juvenile cases going on there. Our Quapaw Counseling Service had about 150 interactions over at the clinic. Those numbers for July are down just a little bit from what they was in June. June was a really big month for us. It seemed like it was busy across the board. I think that everybody, with the exception of the courts, numbers were a little bit lower in July than they were in June. So we did some interviews and selected 2 new fire basic EMT personnel this week. Because we're trying to make sure we got enough numbers there to keep our fire and ambulance shifts covered. So we did get that done this week as well. And moving forward, we're going to start looking at the services we provide in all those departments and start looking, see where places we can enhance those services and make sure we're out in the communities. Like Chairman Supernall said, we've got the Quapaw Bash going on. This is the first ever one that we've ever done. So we've teamed up with the city fire department and Peoria Fire Department, Quapaw Fire Department. There's just a lot of people that's involved in that. And we're trying to make sure that we can get all of our public safety staff out and actually interacting with the community. So this is the first ever one we've done in Quapaw, and hopefully we can expand that out to other communities so we can have that interaction with everybody out there and they can actually see who their law enforcement people are, their fire EMS folks. So we've got every department out there being represented today. So with that, that's kind of a little bit of what I've done this week.
Great, and good job on the morning news show yesterday, bright and early.
Yeah, good. Thanks to Barry. Barry got us hooked up yesterday morning, so we did get to actually go in and promote our things that we're doing. And we're actually going to, Barry's talking to them about actually promoting more of what we're doing in Department of Public Safety, because there's a lot of things that we do that a lot of people don't know about. So we're going to start looking at different ways that maybe we can promote those kind of things and make sure the nation's getting credit, because we're doing so much and you guys have led so much since the Lawhorn decision. There's a lot going on. There's things that goes on in the background that sometimes people don't know that's going on. So we're going to try to get more out there and promote that and get out in the communities and make sure we're interacting with everybody and everybody knows what we're doing. And if there's any kind of services that we need to be providing, I'm easy to find. My cell number's on my email. It's out everywhere, so people can call me anytime if you got any kind of issues, and I'll make sure it gets addressed. And we're going to start looking at maybe coming out and getting in the community to start looking at fire alarms and those kind of things. If you got any issues like that where you need to have someone come out and check those, let us know and we'll make sure we can get staff out there. And one other thing that Randy did this week when he was in meetings in Tulsa, we was able to acquire 3 aluminum handicap ramps while he was down at that meeting that we're going to be able to provide to anyone in the tribe if they have some type of a medical issue where you can't get into your house. They can actually bring one of those out and set up this aluminum ramp to where you can actually get in and out with a wheelchair or something while they're recuperating and stuff. So we got those donated to us for free. So we're going to start looking for things like that we can leverage to provide those services out to the tribal members as well.
That is fantastic. Thank you.
Do you want me to hit just a little bit on the Marshal Service grant to the Indian Highway Safety Program, just
That'd be
so you're
great.
kind of aware?
Yep.
So the Indian Highway Safety Program, when I was working at BI, I oversaw that program, and there's several $1 million that the Indian Highway Safety Program gets from the Department of Transportation that's available to tribes out there, but you got to put in for it. It's a reimbursable grant, so they can provide staffing as well as car seats. We can do car seat programs. They can do the billboards that you see out on the road that tells you, hey, slow down, there's an event, or, speed trailers or whatever to tell people, hey, you're going too fast, and flashes a light at you. There's a lot of different things that program can provide to tribes for free. So we're wanting to get the resolution in support of that. That's one of the things that we got to have to get our foot in the door to start looking at getting money from there. But there's several $1 million that's sitting there that goes carryover every year. And I've already had conversations with them, and they're telling me that they can provide the tribes a lot of free resources if we want to get into that program. So that's kind of a little bit about the Indian Highway Safety Program.
Thank you, Charles.
Any questions? All right. Anybody?
Oh, there's one question from Grace.
Yes, ma'am. I don't know about that yet. I'm digging into those grants and stuff to see what's out there and see what's been done and if there's things that we need to follow up on. But I will follow up on it and I will get back with you and let you know exactly what we're doing on that. You're welcome. All right. Well, thank you all.
Thank you. Before we proceed with the new business portion of the agenda, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break. Thank you.
Are you gonna call for the vote on everything?
Except for the signatories, we'll just bundle those all together and take a single vote.
Okay. All right.
Folks could start returning to their seats. We're going to get started again. Glad we took a break. Now we can get you sworn in and then we can get you to go. It's precious. We would have had a hair over 24 hours. Sleep in the airport.
Been there, done that.
Gracious. Hard. Yeah. NASCAR Nancy. Yeah. Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine. If people could take their seats, that would be wonderful. Since Member Davis is able to join us, we're going to go ahead and take care of getting her sworn in. Frank, could you get ready to swear Linda in? We got through everything except we're getting ready to start doing the rest. Okay, thank you. Luggage.
I actually had to leave the counter yesterday at Syracuse and go all the way back to where you check in, get our luggage, bring it back into the gate. And then I realized, I said, my blood passed if I left him in line. When I got there to go through security, I told her, like, this is all happened with my baggage claim tickets. And my husband is there at the gate. Yeah, now the lady comes. She goes, oh, it happens all the time. In my mind, I'm thinking, I hope no.
We're going to get started again. And we're going to start with another officer being sworn in. Frank, Linda?
Okay, Linda, let's do this again. It seems like we just did this a few months ago. Okay, I, Linda Davis, as chair, as a business committee member, do solemnly swear that I believe and support the policies of the Quapaw Nation of Oklahoma and the laws of the tribe. I further solemnly swear that I will work diligently toward the goals and objectives of the nation and heretofore commit myself fully to the responsibilities of this position for the purpose for which it was established. You're done again, girl.
Great. We'll go ahead and proceed to new business of the day. The very first resolution will be taken by Member Gibbswater.
Resolution number 081923-A, a resolution authorizing the Quapaw Nation Business Committee members to conduct business with the Bureau of Indian Affairs. The Quapaw Nation Business Committee has determined that it is in the best interest of the nation to grant authority to the following individuals listed below to conduct business with the BIA. Chair Weena Catherine Supernaw, Vice Chair Sonny Glass, Member Larry Mercer, Member Linda Davis, Member Lloyd Buffalo, and Member Joey Gibbswater Smith. Therefore, it be resolved by the Quapaw Nation Business Committee that the individuals named above are hereby authorized to conduct business with the Bureau of Indian Affairs on behalf of the Quapaw Nation. that all previous signatories are removed as an authorized signatory to conduct business with the Bureau of Indian Affairs.
Thank you, Member Gibbs Water. I'll accept a motion to pass this resolution.
Madam Chair, I move to adopt the resolution.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on this? Call for the question. All those in favor of accepting Resolution 081923-A, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The motion to approve 081923-A passes. So the next group of resolutions are signatory authority updates, considering the changes. That will cover Resolution 081923-B, BIA Signature Authority, 081923-C, Downstream Casino and Resort Signatory Authority, 081923-D, Downstream Casino and Resort Golf Club Signatory Authority, 081923-J, Quapaw Food Service Authority signatories, 081923-K, Quapaw Service Authority signatories, 081923-L, Quapaw Casino Accounts signatories, 081923-M as in Mary, Quapaw Nation Accounts signatories, and 081923-N as in Nancy, Saracen Casino and Resorts Accounts signatories. I'll accept a motion to approve these resolutions to update the signatories.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
So second.
Any discussion?
Call for the question.
All those in favor of accepting the signatory update resolutions, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Are there any abstentions? The motion to approve the signatory authorizations passes. The next one, Member Davis, would you please take that one?
Yes. Resolution number 081923-E is a resolution authorizing the renewal of membership to the National Congress of American Indians, NCAI, and naming Weena Supernall as the delegate and Sonny Glass as the alternate delegate. The Quapaw Nation Business Committee approves the renewal of membership as a member of the Indian Native Government in good standing with the National Congress of American Indians, and the Quapaw Nation continues to meet all the requirements for the tribal membership pursuant to Article 3, Members Section B of the Constitution and bylaws of NCAI. I make a motion to approve Resolution 081923-E.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor of passing 081923-E, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion for passing 081923-E passes. The next one, Member Buffalo, would you please take that?
Yes. Resolution number 081923-F, a resolution designating the Quapaw Nation representative to the National Indian Gaming Association, NIGA. Whereas the primary purpose of the NIGA are to promote, protect, and preserve the general welfare and interests of Indian gaming tribes through the development of sound policies and practices with respect to the conduct of gaming activity in the Indian country. Assist in the dissemination of information to the Indian gaming community, federal government, and the general public on issues related to the conduct of gaming in the Indian country. Preserve and protect the integrity of gaming in Indian country, maintain and protect and advocate Indian tribal sovereignty. And whereas the Quapaw Nation meets all the requirements for the national tribal membership pursuant to Part 5, classes, qualification, and rights of membership of the NIGA bylaws. Now therefore be it resolved, the Quapaw Nation authorizes the payment of dues for the NIGA tribal membership of the Quapaw Nation and appoints the following delegates and alternate delegate as the nation's representative to NIGA. Delegate Weena Supanoff, Chair. Alternate Sonny Glass, Vice Chair. Madam Chair, I move to adopt.
Thank you. Is there a second? We've got a second. Is there any further discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor of accepting 081923-F, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The motion passes. The next one I'll go ahead and take is Resolution 081923-G. It's a resolution removing all previous representatives and alternatives and appoint Linda Davis as the representative and Larry Mercer as the alternate representative to the Northeastern Tribal Health System Governing Board. So we do wish to void the appointments of all previous representatives and alternatives. And we do wish to appoint Business Committee members Linda Davis as the representative and Larry Mercer as the alternate representative. I'll make a motion to adopt 081923-G. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of passing, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions?
Abstain.
One abstention by Member Davis. The motion to approve 081923-G passes. The next one, Joey, would you please take that?
Yeah. Resolution number 081923-H, a resolution designated to the Quapaw Nation representatives to the Oklahoma Indian Gaming Association, OIGA. The Oklahoma Indian Gaming Association is a voluntary association composed of member tribes and associate members representing federally recognized tribal governments, gaming, tribes, rancheras, pueblos, bands, and businesses engaged in gaming enterprises in Indian country. And the Quapaw Nation authorizes the payment of dues for the OIGA tribal membership. Quapaw Nation appoints the following delegate and alternate delegate as the nation's representatives to OIGA. Chair Weena Supernaw and Josh Seiler, correct? Josh Seiler. Chair Supernaw, move to adopt.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
He's the alternate delegate for the OIGA, along with Chair Supernaw.
Any further discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor of accepting, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The motion to adopt passes. Okay, I'll take the next one. It is 081923-G.
Aye.
That's why I stopped. I read the wrong letter.
Resolution number 081923-I. This is a resolution authorizing the Quapaw Nation Business Committee members to conduct business with the Office of the Special Trustee. Whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee is also empowered and obligated to transact tribal business, including signing and executing documents on behalf of the Quapaw Nation, requesting access to tribal records and requesting copies of tribal records. And whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee has determined that it is in the best interest of the nation to grant authority to the following individuals listed below to conduct business with the Office of the Special Trustee. Chair Weena Supernaw, Vice Chair Sonny Glass, Member Larry Mercer, Member Linda Davis, Member Lloyd Buffalo, Member Joey Gibbs Water-Smith, therefore be it resolved by the Quapaw Nation Business Committee that the individuals named above are hereby authorized to conduct business with the Office of the Special Trustee on behalf of the Quapaw Nation. That all previous signatories are removed as an authorized signatory to conduct business with the Office of the Special Trustee. I so move to adopt resolution 081923-I.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor of accepting, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? The motion passes. The next one, since we already covered the remaining signatory ones, we're going to drop on down to 081923-0. And I'll cover that one. This is a resolution to authorize the sale of the Quapaw Nation's restricted interest in chat in the consolidated number 3 chat pile located under the jurisdiction of the Quapaw Nation. Whereas the Quapaw Nation's Business Committee supports the sale of the nation's interest in restricted chat in the amount of what per 10, consolidated number 3 chat pile, total tonnage to be purchased 15,000 tons, located on the nation, further agrees to grant access to the site to the EPA and its contractors to remove said chat, and further understands that the nation's proportionate share will be paid up front in the following amount. I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 081923-0. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor of accepting, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The motion to approve passes. The next one is, Lloyd, would you please take that?
Resolution number 081923-P. Resolution authorizing Kathleen Duval to reproduce 2 photographs of the Quapaw Nation Veteran Wall for her book, Native Nations, A Millennium in North America. Whereas Kathleen Duval has requested to reproduce 2 photographs back in front of the Quapaw Veterans Wall, the Random House book, Native Nations, A Millennium of North America, to be published in 2024. A credit line will appear in the book describing the images of the Quapaw Veterans Wall in from the Quapaw, need a correction here, should say nation, not tribal, museum, and dedicated July 2009, Quapaw, Oklahoma. Photograph courtesy Quapaw Nation. Therefore, be it resolved that the Quapaw Nation provide non-exclusive use for the lifetime of the book in both print and ebook with no other uses granted. Therefore, be it resolved that the Quapaw Nation Business Committee hereby authorize Kathleen Duval to reproduce 2 photographs of the Quapaw Nation Veterans Wall book. Madam Chairman, I would move to adopt with the correction so noted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of accepting the corrected Resolution 081923-P, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The motion to approve the modified version of 081923-P passes. The next one is, and I'll go ahead and take this, it's resolution number 081923-Q, a resolution requesting the Secretary of Interior to take a parcel of land consisting of approximately 35 lots, more or less, into trust for the benefit of the Quapaw Nation. I do want to read part of this, and I know it's lengthy, my apologies, but I think it's important to understand. So the requested acquisition by the United States is fully consistent with the policy goals of the federal government in using trust acquisitions to address the needs of Indian country, is contained in the provisions of 25 CFR 151.3A, which states, subject to the provisions contained in the acts of Congress which authorize land acquisitions, land may be acquired for tribe and trust status, 1, when the property is located within the exterior boundaries of the tribe's reservation or adjacent thereto, or within a tribal consolidation area, or 2, when the tribe already owns an interest in the land or 3, when the Secretary determines that the acquisition of the land is necessary to facilitate tribal self-determination. The property is agricultural land within the exterior boundary of the tribe's original reservation, and the tribe intends on no change in land use. I make a motion to adopt Resolution 081923-Q. Is there a second? Second by Member Davis. Any further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor of accepting the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The motion is adopted. The next one is, Joey, would you take this one?
Yeah. Resolution number 081923-R. Resolution authorizing the purchase of restricted interest in land, surface only, located under the jurisdiction of the Quapaw Nation, and authorizing the chairperson or an authorized representative to execute the purchase on behalf of the Quapaw Nation. By the Quapaw Nation Business Committee, that the tribal chairperson or an authorized representative of the Quapaw Nation is hereby authorized to negotiate and execute the purchase of restricted interest in land located under the jurisdiction of the Quapaw Nation, and to promote tribal self-determined and such other uses as may be determined. Quapaw Nation requests the Secretary of Interior or an authorized representative to approve said purchase of individual interest in the allotments to the Quapaw Nation. Chair Supernod, move to adopt this.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second by Member Buffalo. Is there any discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor of accepting, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The motion is approved. All right, Linda, Member Davis, would you please take the next one?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Resolution number 081923-S. This is a resolution to approve the submission of a grant application to the Bureau of Indian Affairs Indian Highway Safety Program for public safety staff and equipment. The Quapaw Nation receives less than 8% of the total annual budget for the nation's law enforcement program from the Bureau of Indian Affairs Office of Justice Services, and must seek additional funding sources to ensure the protection of life and property within the Quapaw Reservation. And the Quapaw Nation Business Committee seeks to effectively reduce traffic fatalities and injuries within the Quapaw Reservation. The Quapaw Nation Business Committee finds it is in the best interest of the Quapaw Nation to support and approve the submission of a grant application to the BIA Indian Highway Safety Program for additional public safety staff and equipment to assist our Marshal Service with improving traffic safety on the reservation, which will enhance the protection of our children and communities. And therefore be it resolved by the Business Committee of the Nation to support and approve the Quapaw Nation Marshal Service submission of an IHSP grant application for the Quapaw Nation. I so move to adopt.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Glass. Any further discussion? All those in favor of accepting, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The motion to approve passes. All right, the last one is the only one where we did not meet the 10-day deadline. It's resolution number 081923-T, and it was posted to the website one day late. A resolution authorizing the engagement with civility to conduct governance advice and parliamentarian services. The Constitution Committee has requested approval to engage civility for government advice and parliamentarian services for the nation utilizing a local assistance and tribal consistency, LATCF, grant fund from the U.S. Treasury Department. And it includes in this advice and services our on-site training session, business and general counsel meeting audit, government document review, and bylaw revision phase 1. I'll make a motion to approve 081923-T. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Glass. Any discussion?
Question.
All those in favor of accepting, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The motion passes. Thank you. That concludes new business. So thank you for your patience. I know there's quite a bit. Hopefully people found it helpful that these resolutions were available to the tribal website significantly earlier than the day of the meeting. Okay. We're going to go on to open forum. So just to reiterate some of the ground rules, that is, individuals can speak in open forum if either they provided the form in advance or number two, they have an item that pertains directly to the agenda of the day. Each individual is limited to 5 minutes of their discussion. We always want things to be constructive and respectful, so thank you in advance, and only one trip to the podium. With that, we'll begin open forum. First on the agenda is Amy Kvistad. Could we get a microphone for Amy so the Zoom folks could hear her? Thank you so much.
Who restricted the downstream? Who's restricted?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Amy. My apologies.
Who's restricting downstream?
I'm not aware of a restructure. We did appoint a new CFO, Mary Caballero.
Like the insecurity, they all moved up. One person moved up, and all of them just moving around, but they added another manager. I'm just wondering how. So we got lots of managers, lots of supervisors. Congratulations to Roe for being a lead. Linda made supervisor, even though she worked hard and they did her wrong. I did everything she could. But I'm just wondering why they all moved up, and they're doing it in all the departments.
That is correct. There were a number of, if you remember, about 3 years ago, maybe even more than that, really, downstream went on a pretty severe austerity program, the goal of which was to reduce expenses significantly so that we could commence paying down the debt. That has been a very successful program in making material reductions to our outstanding debt at downstream. In doing so, you can cut back expenses for a period of time, but you can't cut back so lean that it begins to harm the quality of customer experience, technology investments, facility investments. So one of the things that happened at downstream is in recognition of individual employees' service, their contributions, their wonderful leadership capabilities. There were indeed a number of promotional opportunities that were made available and executed within the downstream staff. That's in recognition of their great contributions and their continued development of leaders on behalf of the organization, and we congratulate them all.
Well, we've lost a lot of security people, and yet we're getting more, but they don't last long. So, I mean, I'm not understanding that at all.
I appreciate the question. We do know overall downstream's turnover numbers are lower than they were even a year ago. And that report just came out at the end of June.
Somebody's lying because there's a lot of people, there's a lot of applications, hardly any workers because all of them will say they're overworked.
We appreciate the feedback and we'll take that back to the downstream operations team for further inquiry because we always want to be mindful of employees, how they're treated, and retention. Amy, thank you for your comments. Next up in open forum is Barbara Kaiser Collier.
I had something to comment on what Amy was talking about. I'm out in the country most of the time, see no one, maybe for days, except my husband or my grandchildren. And I get complaints lately about downstream that I think the business committee would warrant to check into. That being there, Lloyd can vouch for this, Sonny can also vouch for this. When downstream was built and we started in, everyone that worked there seemed to have a big pride in what they were doing, pride in working there, pride in what we were building, pride in what the nation would have after it was completed. And that seems to have gone away. People text me or email me or even call me. Oh, I went to downstream the other night and the buffet was awful and the room was dirty, or just various things. And I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but it does concern me because just like she's saying, that the pride seems to be gone, and I don't know what morale you need to look into getting that back, because it used to be very strong. And like I say, these gentlemen can verify that. And it does seem to be missing. So if I'm hearing it, I'm sure that there are others out there that must be hearing it also. So it concerns me. And I can come to the podium as far as this other on my own part, but I want to bring up a couple of things. First off, I want to thank everyone that has inquired and has had my husband in your prayers. We almost lost him, and he's doing very well now, recuperating and physically much better than he was 2 months ago. So thank you all for your prayers and your thoughts and your concerns. My two comments, two issues that I have. It's been 5 years now, since 2018, when this General Council minutes, July 4th, 2018, when I spoke and previous the year to that made the nomination to have the motion voted on to change the name of the, which was then from given to us by the Bureau of Indian Affairs, the Quapaw Tribe of Indians of Oklahoma. That was what our legal name was, the Quapaw Tribe of Indians of Oklahoma. To change it to Quapaw Nation. We are a nation. We do all of these things and have since self-governance to nation, government to government. So we need to be a nation. We need to be a nation equivalent to the nation that we're living in and equivalent to other nations that we deal with. So I made the motion in 2018 and it was voted on during the election. And then yes won 456 to 314 to change the name to Quapaw Nation. I noticed whenever I got election information in the mail, it said Quapaw Nation of Oklahoma on the return address. It is no longer of Oklahoma anything. It's Quapaw Nation as of July of 2018 when it passed the official work results. So, and as he read and swore them in the last several times, it says that it needs to be changed in the documentation. It's no longer Quapaw Nation of Oklahoma. It's just Quapaw Nation. And over the years, we've had those things changed. It was concerns about tags and documents and letterhead and all of those things. And that has all been changed. So I think the election committee needs to update a little bit and get on board with Quapaw Nation, as well as any other thing that may not be updated. Secondly, when I get on my internet to get to the website, and when I understand we have it's supposed to be a tremendous IT department here. They need to remove the old system from that website. because when I get on there, oftentimes I have to put in my old code and go to my old work email address in order to get on some of the documents and retrieve them. And people will say, oh no, you just go here and you do this. And oh no, you just don't have to do that anymore. Well, if I don't have to do it anymore, why does it pop up on my screen that I have to put it in there? So I call up here, and oftentimes you can't get anyone because I realize they're very busy. But if you need a document or you're wanting to look for something and you can't find it and it blocks you because you can go no further because you have to put in your old address, your old email address, and then I don't even remember what my password is. That's long forgotten. So I don't understand why we have to have the old information on the website that we used to have years ago, as well as if it's supposed to be easy to get on there now, then it should be easy to get on there for everybody. I mean, I'm not, website 101 dummy, but I'm not the best either. But I do have a difficult time, and if I have a difficult time, I'm sure there's others out there that have a difficult time not being able to get the documentation they want. So if that can be looked into, it'd be much appreciated by me. And I'm sure not only just me, but others that can't retrieve the documents that they're looking for. So thank you.
Barbara, thank you for bringing up both of those items because I think they're very constructive. The cleanup regarding, the old references to Quapaw Tribe of Oklahoma versus the Quapaw Nation. You're right. I think it's an excellent suggestion, and we'll look forward to. Matter of fact, I spoke with Frank yesterday briefly about it, just trying to reflect that change consistently throughout the documents, many of which have not been updated to do that properly. So that's good. And then as far as the tribal website, it may be perhaps, I've never encountered that problem, but give us an opportunity to take a look at that because it shouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah. Well, I've contacted Mikhail several times to say, look, I need this document. Can you just send it to me? I can't get on there to get it. Well, you just have to do this. Well, I did that, and then it pops up, and it won't let me pass that old, I don't even have that address anymore. Of course, it's because I had the one when I worked. So I don't understand why it is. Maybe I'm just a dummy. I don't know.
No, but your comment is valid. If you're encountering that challenge, then others probably are too.
Well, and if, it's one thing, like I can come up here and get one, or I can call someone. I know someone to call that maybe can help me get the document I'm looking for. But if you live out in California or wherever, and you're trying to get on, or you're trying to be familiar with what's going on, it's the sad that you can't do it if you try and then you can't, because we don't know how many people out there, don't get on or don't get involved because they can't. There's no way to know it. And that's even like on the Zoom things, getting on that for me is quite
That's a different
difficult,
issue.
too.
I'm right there with you on that.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Okay. I'm off my soapbox now. Thank you.
is that what it says now, Beverly? Next on open forum, we have Kuggy Supernaw.
My hearing aids running down, so sometimes I can't tell how loud I'm talking. So I'll try to get into this real quick, and before you start, wishing that your hearing aid ran down. At the last meeting, the chair brought up a discussion on the bear case. We drifted off into a discussion of the Good Eagle case. So I thought we would have a discussion at this meeting. So my sister and I tried to find all the data we had pertaining to the bear case and found out we didn't have a lot, but we did have friends of long standing and experts that had lots of information and were willing to share it. So we acquired hundreds, perhaps even thousands of pages of documentation since the last meeting. And even with selective reading for only the parts that pertain to the bear, it was too much to consume it all in the last month. But the data suggested that there's a lot of new information that hasn't been brought out before, at least to my knowledge. And it indicated that the new board members need to get up to speed on that. And it also indicated that we need as a nation to review as much of that, even though it has to be condensed to something that's practical. Now, it's announced today that we're going to have a special meeting, general council, where we'll be asked to vote on something that is of great importance to everybody in the nation. Now, I've, in process of preparing for this, I made a tour, or actually, Teresa and I made a tour of a lot of the damaged area and other damages that were done to the entire nation and to property that had once belonged to all of our relatives. Now, we're going to have to meet and vote on a really important thing. But my question, I guess, to you, to the board, and to everybody, how? I did find out that most people don't know much about it, what we're going to vote on. So I'm posing the question, how are we going to review even condensed versions before we are called on next month to vote on these things? And without that information and little time to brief ourselves on it, maybe we could discuss, or you all could discuss, how we can disseminate information in a way that doesn't lead anyone to a conclusion before we vote on it. And so I guess that's just my question for discussion.
Yeah, it sounds like it's more around sequencing in terms of preparation to place as high a quality vote as possible. Although, the business committee, we have not discussed this as a group, I would always err on trying to get as much information out to individuals as we possibly could, not in terms of reams of detail. The reason I say that is, of course, we want to get as much out as we possibly can in summary form. There are two things that I would like to just bring forward, and that is, no one is asserting to relitigate or to revisit what led to the outcome of that lawsuit, January of 2020. So that is already decided. That is a part of the court record. We're not trying to go back and understand whether those equitable claims, all 25 or 35 of them, were accurate or not. That has already been decided. I do believe that it's important to get as much of the historical information, like when did the lawsuit start? Who was involved? What are the changes to the plaintiffs that took place throughout the lifespan of the lawsuit? And where did we ultimately land in very, very late 2019, early 2020? Now that all those things are historical fact, and I think those are important to get out. I know I've tried to summarize them in the last few meetings, but getting more of that information out in fact might be very, very helpful, and I think that's a great suggestion. What we're expected to vote on September the 30th is the preferred distribution method once the proceeds are authorized and appropriated, not the legitimacy of the underlying equitable claim, since that's already been decided. I don't know if that addresses your question, but do you guys, and this is to the BC members too, should we conduct a couple of town halls, if you will, to get that information out, give people an opportunity to ask questions up to that time? I think we'd all be happy to do that. But just as important, I think, in a matter of fact, we did talk about, the BC talked about this yesterday. To me, the most important thing that we're going to accomplish on September the 30th, obviously in addition to filling the grievance committee vacancies as well as establishing the ethics commission with assigned individuals that we vote on, is the debate associated with that vote. A debate in a respectful and open environment so that we can all benefit from the knowledge that one another has. Because there's no single one of us that I think understands all of it. To me, that's the most important point, so that we do come before Congress with a unified voice. Yeah, the two Oklahoma delegates, the one that we were hoping would sponsor the bill on both the Senate side as well as the House side, have both been pretty clear that until both sides come together to come up with, a common view, they're not introducing any legislation on our behalf. Barbara? No, I did not mention the who will distribute, Barbara. I don't even know. I mean, I know that discussion has been underway. Should it be the tribe? Should it be the Department of Interior? Should it be some other third party? Those have all been discussed, but that was not one of the items that was brought in to call in the special general counsel. That's correct. It's the to whom. By what method? What's the math? So if you're talking about the Good Eagle distributions, what we have done is submitted up on the tribal website is a request for a proposal from both legal/financial services firms to perform a comprehensive independent review of both distributions for Good Eagle. Yeah, we've gone through both, even recently, I can't speak to long ago, but even recently, both kind of verbal requests, written requests, all of the above have been submitted, trying to obtain as much of that data as we possibly can. Oh, we know exactly to whom, things were written, the how much, the parties. There's no mystery to that. Yeah, it's just the underlying methodology. Grace?
But the thing of it is now, in dealing with Congress, it was a matter of if we can get the two parties together and present a unified front to Congress, then get the money, and then have the discussion about how it will be distributed. That again is my understanding. If we can come together and then go together to Congress and say, yes, let's get those monies appropriated and done, then we can decide about distribution. So that's my understanding.
So how, as the business committee, even though we go and we vote and it's decided, like the survey or the bill that already passed, that we would all share alike, even though the general counsel votes and has that decision and says they do make a decision that everyone by September 27th, 2019 gets a equal share. How do you plan to move forward in the others not, because they're already stating that they're meeting in Congress and they're meeting with people in Washington D.C. on their behalf? How are you going to prevent that from happening?
I don't know if there's any way to prevent it, but at least it gives us just a very clear voice and intention on the vast majority of Quapaw voters, whatever that decision is on September the 30th. So, correct. So, the business committee, rightfully so, passed a resolution in August of 2021 as well as September of 2022 saying it goes to everybody fully and equally, right? That's in our historical documents and is readily available. With that being said, the BC is a 7-person group of elected people on behalf of the Quapaw voters. So that's kind of a representation. What we can accomplish on September the 30th is that clear voice. What constitutes or what defines the will of the Quapaw people? And I think that's a very, very powerful message. We do the best we possibly can every single day. It really needs to come from the Quapaw people. What is our intent here? And I think that's the most powerful thing we can accomplish. Linda?
Will there be any kind of a document that provides a synopsis of facts on the Bear case so that everybody can have something to look at and review to be able to make educated decisions from?
Sure, especially if we do some town halls and help disseminate some of that basic information, like when did it start? There have been a number of statements made about how things were dismissed. Well, that's kind of true, kind of not true, just based on the way things were going through the Court of Federal Claims. Just to lay that out in terms of historical fact, Linda, yes, I think that would be helpful. I kind of take it for granted at this point, and that's a good reminder that maybe not everybody is as aware or recalls.
Right, not just that, but I understand the town halls and everything, but that's a lot of verbal information, and not everybody is going to be able to get to the town halls. But I'd like to see something that's out there on the website or something that people that are not able to actually be here can review something so that they can make decisions on that if they choose to. Even if they can't get to the town halls, they can still come decide whether they want to come to the special general council meeting.
Right. We actually drafted an FAQ document, I want to say close to, not quite a year ago, but some time ago in the past, and we can resurrect that because I think it was quite helpful.
Yeah, that would be helpful to have that out easily available.
Betty?
I'm just wondering, is it possible to put something on the calendar today so that we're aware and can start making plans to attend for a town hall?
Why don't we do this? How about by Monday morning? Is that fair?
Yes, that's fair. Thank you.
There is a post. I just don't know if we're going to be able to get, and I love that idea. I just want to make sure that we've got the right dates to get it in people's mailboxes prior to the event. So it may be just an all of the above kind of approach to get the information out. Oh, Barbara, when you mentioned Quapaw Post, were you talking about online or the print version? I might have print version. Okay. Any other questions? We've got one in the back. Everett?
I just wanted to make a suggestion that the information that's going to be provided in print would be useful to be provided in the form of short videos. Tribe members who are under the age of 30 engage best with short videos, and I would like to see that on important issues if possible.
All right, if there are no other questions for open forum, I would like to acknowledge, join me in acknowledging those tribal members who have passed since we last met. I'm going to read the names, and if you could join me for a moment of silence, that would be greatly appreciated. Lisa Ann Bloom, Linda Karen Bennett, Jerry A. Holmes Vincent, Sandra K. Bratton, Loretta Sue Hutchings, Demetrius Jordan Youngblood Tiger Hamilton. A moment of silence, please. Renegade, please keep these individuals and their families in your thoughts and prayers. Excuse me? I'm sorry. It is weird. Would you mind? I'll get with you afterwards, and maybe we can figure out how to get it forwarded. Others received it as well. We're seeing some confirmations in the room. All right, we're going to go to the benediction. Miss Grace, would you mind terribly leading us in our closing prayer?
In Tate, Ganagay, we are so thankful to you. We know of your love for the Uga'xpa people. We're glad that you were with us today. And one thing that we also added today was to smoke before we came into our meeting, to discuss the business, to be with one another. We pray now that you be with each of us as we make our way to our destination, whether it's home or wherever. Be with us. And we ask that you also be with those who cannot be with us. There's a lot going on, and we are just thankful to you for what you have given us. You have given us earth, sky, water. And we are descendants of those who have gone before, and we don't want to forget them and what they went through so that we could have life today. And now we're thinking ahead of what life will be for those coming. So again, we have many, many blessings. We just, again, are so grateful to you and want to thank you. So, gonna gay.
Amen.
Here, I move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? We stand adjourned.